Donald Trump's life and career have been a whirlwind of dramatic highs and crushing lows, marked by an uncanny ability to rebound from adversity. From his turbulent business ventures to his polarizing political career, Trump has faced countless obstacles that would have derailed most individuals. Yet, time and again, he has emerged stronger, defying critics and reshaping his narrative. His journey is a testament to resilience, whether overcoming financial ruin during his business days, weathering legal challenges and impeachment as president, or orchestrating one of the most improbable political comebacks in U.S. history. In 2024, Trump achieved what many deemed impossible, reclaiming the presidency after losing in 2020 and becoming the first former president to face federal criminal indictments. His victory underscored his ability to galvanize a loyal base despite, or perhaps because of, his controversies. This triumph was not just a political feat, but a personal vindication for a man who thrives on defying expectations. However, Trump's path has also been fraught with failures, from business bankruptcies to divisive policies and leadership missteps that left lasting scars on the nation. Exploring Donald Trump's obstacles and comebacks reveals not only the resilience of an individual, but also the deep divisions and shifting dynamics within American society. His story is one of ambition, controversy, and relentless determination, a saga that continues to captivate the world. Donald Trump embodies the spirit of a street fighter, a persona that has been cultivated and refined throughout his life. From a young age, he grasped an essential truth. Sometimes you must say and do whatever it takes to come out on top. This relentless pursuit of victory is not merely a personal mantra for him. It is a guiding principle that has shaped his approach to business, politics, and public life. For Trump, winning is not just an objective. It is a defining characteristic of his identity. As a prominent deal maker, Trump's wealth largely stems from his ventures in Manhattan's real estate market, where he learned the intricacies of negotiation and the importance of branding. His name alone carries immense influence, serving as a powerful marketing tool that has opened doors and created opportunities. He understood early on that in the competitive landscape of real estate, perception is often as valuable as reality. By associating his name with luxury and success, he was able to elevate his projects and attract high-profile investors and buyers. Moreover, Trump recognized that Americans have a fascination with celebrity, a cultural phenomenon that he has adeptly leveraged throughout his career. In the world of fame, he understood that anything could be achieved if one could capture the public's attention. This insight propelled him into the realm of television, where his role as the host of The Apprentice not only solidified his status as a household name, but also allowed him to craft a persona that resonated with millions. The show showcased his business acumen while simultaneously portraying him as a decisive leader, further enhancing his brand. In navigating the complexities of fame and fortune, Trump has demonstrated a keen awareness of the media's power. He has mastered the art of self-promotion, often using controversial statements and bold actions to keep himself in the spotlight. This strategy has not only fueled his business ventures, but has also played a crucial role in his political ascent. By positioning himself as an outsider, willing to challenge the status quo, he tapped into a deep-seated desire among many Americans for change and authenticity. Ultimately, Trump's journey reflects a broader narrative about ambition, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of success. His ability to adapt to changing circumstances, coupled with an unwavering commitment to his goals, has allowed him to navigate the tumultuous waters of both business and politics. In a world where the stakes are high and competition is fierce, Trump's street fighter mentality serves as a testament to the lengths one might go to achieve their dreams. What if he faced ridicule? The very thought sends ripples through the political landscape as Donald Trump stands before a crowd this evening, his presence a catalyst for change in the White House. The air is thick with anticipation, the stakes are high, and the atmosphere crackles with tension. It's a moment that demands not just courage, but a fierce resolve. He knows that to navigate this tumultuous terrain, he must stand his ground and respond with the confidence that has defined his career. I am officially declaring my candidacy for the presidency of the United States, he proclaims, his voice resonating with conviction. The battle of the Trumps is about to unfold, a saga that promises to be as dramatic as it is unpredictable. With his family by his side, he emphasizes their unwavering commitment to the cause, a united front in the quest for victory. The stakes are not just personal, they are emblematic of a larger struggle for the soul of the nation. As he steps into the arena, the unpredictability of his next move keeps everyone on edge. Political analysts, supporters, and detractors alike are left guessing, unable to predict the twists and turns that lie ahead. This isn't merely a recounting of Donald Trump's presidency, it's a new chapter, one that could redefine the narrative of American politics. There are countless stories out there, each with its own perspective, but Trump is determined to carve out his own path, one that defies expectations and challenges the status quo. Throughout the years, he has managed to astonish many with his audacity and flair for the dramatic. From his unconventional approach to policy to his ability to galvanize a base of fervent supporters, he has consistently pushed boundaries. Yet the most significant surprise is still on the horizon. As he prepares to face the inevitable challenges that come with a campaign, including the potential for ridicule and backlash, he remains undeterred. In the face of criticism, Trump has always found a way to turn the narrative in his favor. He thrives on the energy of the crowd, feeding off their enthusiasm and using it as fuel for his ambitions. The ridicule that once seemed like a threat now appears as an opportunity, a chance to showcase his resilience and to remind the world that he is not easily shaken. As the evening unfolds, the crowd watches with bated breath, eager to see how he will respond to the challenges ahead. Will he embrace the ridicule, turning it into a rallying cry for his supporters? Among the various influences in Donald Trump's life, none looms larger than that of his father, Fred Trump. Born in the Bronx to German immigrants, Frederick and Elizabeth, Fred's early life was shaped by the values of hard work and ambition. His parents, who had come to America seeking better opportunities, instilled in him a strong work ethic and a belief in the American dream. After completing high school, Fred began his career as a carpenter's assistant, where he honed his skills and developed a deep appreciation for the construction trade. However, he was not content to remain in a subordinate position. He yearned for greater authority and the ability to shape his own destiny. At the age of 21, he took a significant step by founding E. Trump & Son, a company named in honor of his mother, who had laid the groundwork for their family's business endeavors. This decision marked the beginning of a remarkable journey that would not only elevate Fred's status, but also lay the foundation for the Trump family's future. Fred Trump's journey was not without its challenges, particularly during the Great Depression, when he faced the threat of bankruptcy. The economic turmoil of the era tested his resolve and ingenuity, forcing him to navigate a landscape fraught with uncertainty. However, fortune smiled upon him when he seized the opportunity to construct one of New York City's pioneering self-service supermarkets, a novel concept at the time that catered to the changing needs of consumers. This venture proved to be a turning point as he sold the supermarket for a substantial profit, providing him with the capital needed to expand his business endeavors. With this newfound wealth, Fred and his business partner strategically acquired a struggling real estate subsidiary at a fraction of its worth. This bold move allowed Fred to gain access to numerous properties on the brink of foreclosure, enabling him to buy low and sell high. His keen business acumen and ability to identify opportunities ultimately transformed E. Trump & Son into a major player in New York's real estate market. setting the stage for the family's future successes. Fred's entrepreneurial spirit and tenacity left a lasting legacy for his children, who grew up in a lavish 23-room home with a chauffeur to take them to school. Alongside material wealth, Fred instilled in them a fierce competitive nature. He often advised Donald and his siblings to work diligently, avoid weakness, and adopt a ruthless mindset. This guidance resonated deeply with Donald, shaping his behavior throughout his youth, as he often resorted to bullying his peers and even his younger brother, demonstrating the aggressive traits he had internalized from his father's teachings. Fred quickly took decisive action and enrolled Donald in a military boarding school located upstate. The environment was rigorous and competitive, yet against the odds for a privileged kid, Donald flourished. He stood out in various sports, showcasing his athletic prowess and leadership skills, ultimately earning the title of captain during his senior year. His peers admired him not only for his achievements on the field, but also for his charisma and charm, which led to him being dubbed the ladies' man in the yearbook. Years later, Donald would reflect on his boarding school experience as a crucial period that instilled the discipline necessary for his future endeavors in business and politics. The structured environment, with its emphasis on respect, teamwork, and perseverance, shaped his character and work ethic. However, he recognized that discipline alone wouldn't suffice in the competitive world he was about to enter. After completing his military education, Donald pursued higher education, spending 2 years at Fordham University, where he honed his business acumen and developed a network of contacts. Seeking to elevate his credentials further, he transferred to the prestigious Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. Graduating in 1968, he was armed with a solid foundation in finance and real estate, ready to make his mark in the family business. Upon graduation, Donald Trump joined his father's real estate firm, a decision that would set the stage for his future. The initial years were far from glamorous. They were filled with hard work and the gritty reality of revitalizing struggling housing projects in the outer boroughs of New York City. Donald and his father, Fred, rolled up their sleeves and got their hands dirty, learning the ins and outs of the business. This experience served as an early lesson for Donald. Despite his many advantages, he still had to earn his success through determination and effort. After 3 years of hard work, Donald ascended to the presidency of the company, marking a significant transition of leadership from father to son. One of his first initiatives was to refresh the company's image, recognizing that E. Trump & Sons felt outdated and uninspired in a rapidly changing market. A contemporary real estate firm led by a vibrant young entrepreneur required a more captivating name. Thus, he rebranded it as the Trump Organization, a move that would become synonymous with luxury and success. This was a pivotal moment in Donald's transformation into Trump. He moved into a stylish Upper East Side apartment and began frequenting some of Manhattan's most exclusive nightclubs, often accompanied by a stunning woman. While it may not have appeared so to the casual observer, Trump was hard at work. He was promoting his most valuable asset, himself. Around this time, he also made his entrance into another prominent local institution, the New York Times. The Times represented the elite establishment that, years later, Trump would find himself opposing in his political career. In the early 1970s, Donald Trump was eager for recognition and validation, a desire that would shape much of his future endeavors. His first mention in the New York Times was far from flattering, with a headline that read, "Major Landlord Accused of Anti-Black Bias in City." This stark introduction to the public eye was not the glamorous debut he had envisioned. The article detailed a lawsuit from the Department of Justice against Trump and his father, Fred Trump, alleging that the Trump Organization had engaged in discriminatory practices against African Americans. For someone who thrived on publicity and sought to cultivate a larger-than-life persona, even he found this negative attention hard to digest. The lawsuit was a significant blow to Trump's aspirations, and the media scrutiny that followed was relentless. Most attorneys he consulted recommended a settlement, a pragmatic approach that would allow him to move on without further damage to his reputation. However, this approach didn't align with his character. Trump was not one to back down easily. He was driven by a fierce determination to fight back against what he perceived as an unjust attack on his integrity and business practices. It was during this tumultuous time that Trump crossed paths with Roy Cohn at an upscale Manhattan nightclub, a meeting that would prove pivotal in his life and career. Cohn, a notorious lawyer known for his aggressive tactics and connections to powerful figures, was a figure who thrived in the high-stakes world of New York City politics and business. Frustrated by his inability to find a lawyer who believed in his chances of winning the discrimination case, Trump vented to anyone who would listen, expressing his anger and frustration at the situation he found himself in. Cohn, recognizing an opportunity, stepped in, offering his legal expertise and a no-nonsense approach that resonated with Trump. He launched a $100 million countersuit against the Department of Justice, a bold move that showcased Trump's willingness to fight back against perceived injustices. While this effort ultimately didn't succeed in the way he had hoped, the eventual settlement allowed the Trump Organization to avoid any admission of guilt. This was a significant victory for Trump, reinforcing a lesson that would resonate throughout his career. Never acknowledge your faults and always project strength, regardless of the circumstances. Cohn remained Trump's attorney for 15 years, and their relationship was marked by a blend of personal loyalty and professional ambition. Cohn famously stated, "Roy is my greatest friend," a testament to the bond they forged during this critical period. With this chapter behind him, Trump turned his ambitions toward a new opportunity. The Penn Central Railroad had recently gone bankrupt, leaving behind 3 valuable real estate properties, the Commodore Hotel and 2 expansive rail yards on New York's west side. These rail yards represented the largest undeveloped land available in Manhattan. Trump was determined to seize those assets, eager to demonstrate to everyone, including his father, that he could thrive as a developer on his own merits. He recognized that with the right strategy, he had a real opportunity to carve out his own legacy in the competitive world of real estate. To make his mark, he courted the leading official of the development agency with lavish dinners and charm, showcasing not just his ambition, but also his ability to navigate the intricate web of relationships that defined the industry. He organized press conferences to share his ambitious vision for the site, painting a picture of a vibrant, bustling hub that would redefine the area. His charisma and persuasive rhetoric captivated the media, generating buzz and excitement around his plans. Thanks to his father's political ties, he secured a meeting with the mayor, a crucial step in gaining the necessary approvals for his project. After weeks of maneuvering, negotiating, and leveraging every connection at his disposal, Trump achieved his goal: the rights to develop the properties that would become the cornerstone of his career. Transforming the Commodore into the Grand Hyatt, he celebrated its grand opening today, marking it as one of the most successful hotels in the nation. The event was a spectacle, filled with glitz and glamour, and it solidified his reputation as a formidable player in the real estate game. Yet Trump understood that merely obtaining the development rights wouldn't silence his detractors, who claimed he owed his position to his father's wealth and connections. The whispers of doubt lingered, and he knew that this victory, while significant, fell short of fulfilling his own aspirations. To truly claim the title of King of New York real estate, he needed to construct something monumental, something that would not only silence his critics, but also establish his legacy in a city that thrived on ambition and innovation. So, Trump aimed high, setting his sights on an audacious plan that would dwarf anything his father had accomplished. He pledged to create 20,000 apartments on the site, a staggering number that would surpass the total his father had built throughout his entire career. From 72nd to 59th, he envisioned stunning marinas, shopping venues, restaurants, and vibrant life along the Hudson River. It was a grand vision, one that promised to transform the landscape and invigorate the community. However, the local community opposed the plan vehemently. Residents felt it clashed with the neighborhood's character, threatening to disrupt the very essence of their lives. They organized protests, rallied support, and leveraged their political clout to halt the development. Trump was furious, but he realized that a full frontal assault wouldn't be effective. The situation called for a level of diplomatic finesse that Trump simply didn't possess. In 1979, when the opportunity arose, he had no option but to let it go. It marked the most significant and painful setback of his career up to that point. Yet, in Trump's perspective, defeat was merely a temporary state. He was not one to dwell on failure. Instead, he viewed it as a stepping stone toward future success. He promised himself that next time he wouldn't let it slip away. This determination fueled his ambition and set the stage for his next big venture. Meanwhile, his thoughts were occupied by other matters. Ivana Marie Zelnikova, a tall and captivating blonde with a fascinating background, entered his life. She was not just another face in the crowd. Her story was as compelling as her beauty. A former competitive skier and child actress, Ivana had navigated a complex path to freedom. She had married a childhood friend to gain Austrian citizenship, a strategic move to escape the constraints of the Eastern Bloc. After their divorce, she relocated to Canada, where fate would have it that she crossed paths with Trump. Their connection was immediate and intense. Just a few months into their relationship, they tied the knot at a church on Fifth Avenue on April 9, 1977. The wedding was a reflection of their shared aspirations and the glamorous life they envisioned together. Their first child, Don Jr., arrived about 9 months later, further solidifying their bond and marking the beginning of a family that would play a significant role in Trump's life and career. Fifth Avenue was not only the location of their wedding church, it was also the site Trump envisioned as the new headquarters for the Trump Organization. Since childhood, he had aspired to construct a tower on Fifth Avenue, seeing it as the epitome of glamour and influence. The avenue represented the pinnacle of success in New York City, a place where dreams could be realized and fortunes made. However, the site he coveted was occupied by a high-end department store, a formidable obstacle in his path. To make his case, he persistently contacted the parent company, inquiring if they were open to selling the property. His inquiries were met with skepticism. They assumed he was joking, but he was dead serious. Trump's relentless pursuit of the property became a testament to his tenacity. He refused to back down, even when faced with rejection and disbelief. After a couple of years of negotiations and strategic maneuvering, the new chairman of the parent company, eager to alleviate some debts, finally agreed. Bonwitz was sold to Donald Trump. Securing the site was just the beginning. He still needed to win over the approval committee, comprised of the same individuals who had thwarted his plans for the rail yards just a couple of years prior. As he became a symbol of success and aspiration, his larger-than-life persona resonated with a nation eager for heroes in a time of economic uncertainty and cultural shifts. The 1980s were a period of excess, and Trump embodied that spirit, flaunting his wealth and lifestyle in a way that captivated the public's imagination. As the decade progressed, Trump's ventures expanded beyond real estate. He ventured into the world of entertainment, producing and starring in television shows that showcased his brash personality and business acumen. The Apprentice would later solidify his status as a pop culture icon, but even before that, his appearances on talk shows and in commercials made him a household name. He was no longer just a businessman, he was a brand. The media's fascination with Trump was a double-edged sword. While they celebrated his successes, they also scrutinized his failures and controversies. The tabloids thrived on his personal life, from his high-profile marriages to his extravagant lifestyle. Yet this scrutiny only seemed to fuel his appeal. For many, he was a figure of resilience, someone who could weather the storms of public opinion and emerge even more prominent. In the backdrop of this personal and professional evolution, the political landscape was shifting. Reagan's presidency was marked by a conservative resurgence, and Trump's rise paralleled this movement. The mantra of "greed is good," popularized by the film Wall Street, echoed the sentiments of a generation that valued wealth and success above all else. Trump's unapologetic embrace of capitalism resonated with many Americans who were eager to chase their own dreams of prosperity. As the Berlin Wall stood as a symbol of division, Trump's narrative was one of breaking barriers, both in business and in the public consciousness. He was a self-made man who had turned his father's real estate business into a global empire, and he was not afraid to flaunt it. His confidence and bravado were infectious, and they inspired a generation to believe that they too could achieve greatness. However, not everyone was on board with Trump's vision. Critics pointed to the ethical implications of his business practices and the impact of his projects on the communities around them. The media elite, who had once dismissed him as a mere showman, now grappled with the reality of his influence. They questioned whether his brand of capitalism was sustainable or if it was merely a facade for deeper societal issues. To many Americans, Trump, who had a tower with his name on it and a glamorous European wife, embodied the 1980s hyper-capitalist version of the American dream. You'll walk down the street sometimes and people will touch you just for the good luck. It's a strange phenomena that's been taking place. Despite having nearly everything one could desire, there remained one elusive goal for Donald Trump: the West Side Rail Yard. This prime piece of real estate had slipped through his fingers 5 years prior, ultimately falling into the hands of Abe Hirschfield, a friend of his father's. The rail yard, with its vast potential for redevelopment, was a tantalizing prospect that Trump could not shake from his mind. Although Hirschfield's redevelopment plan received the necessary approvals, he found himself grappling with significant challenges in securing financing. His difficulties stemmed not only from the numerous concessions he had made to local authorities, compromises that diluted the project's profitability, but also from the fact that Trump was working diligently behind the scenes to undermine his efforts. Trump, ever the opportunist, recognized that the rail yard represented a golden opportunity to solidify his own legacy and step out from the considerable shadow cast by his father. When Hirschfield ultimately walked away from the project in frustration, Trump was quick to seize the moment. He moved swiftly to purchase the development rights, positioning himself to transform the rail yard into a landmark project that would define his career. Just before Thanksgiving in 1985, he unveiled his ambitious plans for the site, which included nearly 8,000 apartments and condominiums, as well as a sprawling expanse of television and movie studio space that would be equivalent to about 600 football fields. This vision was grand in scale and ambition, reflecting Trump's desire to leave an indelible mark on the city. Trump envisioned naming the development Television City, a nod to the burgeoning entertainment industry and a strategic move to attract major players in the field. He sought to entice NBC, one of the most prestigious broadcasting networks, to relocate its operations to this new hub. The significance of NBC remaining in New York was immense. It promised thousands of jobs, hundreds of millions in tax revenue, and perhaps most crucially, the prestige associated with the NBC brand, which was unmatched by any other company at the time. Trump understood that securing NBC's presence would not only bolster his project, but also elevate his status as a key player in the city's economic landscape. However, as Trump began to lay the groundwork for his ambitious plans, he soon discovered that local opposition was not his most formidable challenge. Instead, it was the mayor of New York City himself, Ed Koch, who would emerge as Trump's greatest adversary. Koch, a charismatic and polarizing figure, mirrored Trump in many ways. Both men shared a common vision: to elevate New York City to its rightful place as the greatest city in the world, each vying to be the leading figure in that narrative, and a revitalization of the surrounding neighborhoods. Trump understood that by bringing such a high-profile tenant to the West Side Rail Yard, he could not only elevate the status of his project, but also cement his reputation as a transformative figure in New York real estate. As he began to lay the groundwork for Television City, Trump assembled a team of architects, urban planners, and marketing experts to bring his vision to life. He envisioned a vibrant community that would not only house thousands of residents, but also serve as a cultural epicenter, complete with theaters, restaurants, and parks. The project was designed to be a self-contained ecosystem where work and leisure coexisted harmoniously. Trump's ambition was to create a destination that would draw people from all over the city and beyond, a place where the energy of New York could be felt in every corner. However, the road to realization was fraught with obstacles. Local community groups, wary of gentrification and the potential displacement of longtime residents, began to voice their concerns. They organized protests and public meetings demanding that Trump address their fears and include affordable housing in his plans. Trump, known for his brash demeanor and unyielding confidence, found himself navigating a complex web of public relations challenges. He needed to convince not only the city officials, but also the community that his vision was in their best interest. In response, Trump made a series of strategic concessions. He promised to allocate a portion of the apartments for low-income families and to invest in local infrastructure improvements. He also pledged to create a community advisory board to ensure that the voices of local residents were heard throughout the development process. These moves were calculated to quell opposition and garner support, but they also revealed the delicate balance he had to maintain between his ambitious vision and the realities of urban development. As the project gained momentum, Trump ramped up his marketing efforts, positioning Television City as the future of New York. He held lavish press events, showcasing renderings of the development and highlighting the potential economic benefits. The media buzz surrounding the project began to grow, and with it, Trump's profile as a real estate mogul soared. He was no longer just the son of Fred Trump. He was becoming a brand in his own right. Yet, even as excitement built, Trump faced mounting pressure to deliver on his promises. The financing challenges that had plagued Hirschfield's efforts still loomed large, and Trump needed to secure substantial investment to bring his vision to fruition. He reached out to various financial institutions, leveraging his marketing efforts, launching a high-profile campaign to promote Television City as a groundbreaking urban development. He enlisted the help of renowned public relations firms and leveraged his celebrity status to generate buzz. Billboards adorned with vibrant images of the proposed community sprang up across the city, showcasing the luxurious amenities and the promise of a new lifestyle. Trump hosted lavish events, inviting influential figures from the entertainment industry, real estate moguls, and local politicians to tour the site and envision the future he was creating. Despite the initial pushback, the tide began to turn as more community members started to see the potential benefits of the project. Trump's commitment to affordable housing and local investment began to resonate with some residents who recognized that the revitalization of the West Side Rail Yard could bring new opportunities and resources to their neighborhoods. Local businesses anticipated an influx of customers, and some residents hoped that the development would lead to job creation and improved public services. As construction began, the project transformed the landscape of the West Side. Heavy machinery and construction crews became a common sight, and the once neglected rail yard started to take shape as a bustling hub of activity. Trump's vision of a vibrant community began to materialize, with the first buildings rising from the ground, showcasing modern architecture that blended seamlessly with the historic elements of the area. Parks and green spaces were integrated into the design, providing residents with areas to relax and socialize amidst the urban environment. However, the challenges were far from over. As the project progressed, tensions flared again when reports surfaced about rising property values and rents in the surrounding neighborhoods. Longtime residents expressed fears that the influx of new developments would lead to their displacement, and community activists renewed their calls for stronger protections against gentrification. Trump found himself in the crosshairs of criticism once more, as opponents accused him of prioritizing profit over the needs of the community. In an effort to address these concerns, Trump organized a series of town hall meetings, inviting residents to voice their opinions and suggestions. He listened to their stories, acknowledging the deep-rooted connections many had to their homes and neighborhoods. In these meetings, he reiterated his commitment to creating a balanced development that would benefit all stakeholders. He emphasized that Television City was not just a real estate venture, but a chance to redefine urban living in New York City. As the project neared completion, the first residents began to move in, and the initial excitement was palpable. The community started to take shape. With new businesses opening their doors and cultural events, he acquired a fleet of aircraft from a defunct airline and launched his own venture, Trump Shuttle. Honestly, I never imagined I would be in this position. So, let's all have a great time and enjoy the Trump Shuttle for many years to come. This venture was not just about transportation. It was a bold statement of ambition and a reflection of his larger-than-life persona. The idea of owning an airline was a testament to his relentless pursuit of success and his desire to dominate every industry he entered. He invested heavily in expanding his casinos in Atlantic City, pouring resources into making them not just places to gamble, but entertainment destinations. However, looking back, the most significant move he made was publishing a book. The Art of the Deal detailed Trump's journey, career, and business tactics, offering readers a glimpse into his mindset and strategies. It became a massive hit and opened the door to his future endeavors, solidifying his brand and establishing him as a household name. The book was more than just a memoir. It was a blueprint for success that resonated with many aspiring entrepreneurs. If I were to lose everything today, what would I do tomorrow? Perhaps I'd consider running for president. Even 3 decades before his presidential bid, Donald Trump was voicing concerns about the same issues that would later define his campaign. He was not just a businessman. He was a keen observer of the political landscape, and his thoughts on governance and international relations were already taking shape. The United States is being systematically exploited by some of the richest nations globally. The reality is that the world is taking advantage of this country. Germany is taking us for a ride, and it's a sentiment that many Americans can relate to. Saudi Arabia is also benefiting at our expense, and Trump's frustration was palpable. Everyone is capitalizing on the United States, and he felt it was time to call out these injustices. We're protecting Japan, and while I have great respect for the Japanese people, they aren't treating us justly. This was a recurring theme in his rhetoric, emphasizing a need for fairness and reciprocity in international relations. Trump didn't limit his political commentary to television. He invested nearly $100,000 in a full-page advertisement criticizing U.S. foreign policy, a bold move that showcased his willingness to put his money where his mouth was. I find those ads to be absurd, yet they were a reflection of his deep-seated beliefs and his desire to provoke thought and discussion. He spent $100,000 on self-promotion. Who really cares about his views on foreign policy? Perhaps only Mrs. Trump. Trump's political views were influenced by his fear of appearing weak and the cutthroat nature of Manhattan real estate. We're heading toward conflict due to our perceived weakness, as this country is behaving in a feeble manner. It's disheartening. In the realm of real estate, particularly the type that intrigued Trump, there were no permanent allies or win-win scenarios. Everything felt fleeting and transactional. In a world where relationships were often reduced to mere exchanges, international relations operated on a different level, marked by complex negotiations and shifting alliances. Following the success of The Art of the Deal and the favorable responses to his political remarks, Trump recognized that the public was eager to hear his opinions, even on topics beyond his usual expertise. This newfound platform allowed him to assert himself in arenas where he had previously been a mere observer, and he reveled in the attention it brought. "You've mentioned that if you decided to run for president, you'd come out on top," a close advisor once remarked, half-jokingly. Trump, with his characteristic confidence, replied, "I believe I would have a strong chance. Winning is something I truly enjoy." His eyes sparkled with ambition as he continued, "When I commit to something, I aim for victory. I strive to excel, and I think I would likely have a solid opportunity." The thrill of competition was intoxicating, and the prospect of a presidential run tantalized him. Yet, despite his enjoyment of the political spotlight, circumstances would soon pull him back into his primary business endeavors. The allure of politics was strong, but the realities of his financial situation loomed larger. A couple of journalists from Forbes received a leaked financial disclosure that Trump was required to submit to New Jersey's Casino Control Commission. The document unveiled a truth that no amount of bravado could conceal. Donald Trump was heavily in debt. He fought vigorously to prevent the story from being published, employing every tactic at his disposal to discredit the journalists and suppress the information. But it ultimately went to print, albeit with a single last-minute adjustment that softened the blow. His net worth was adjusted from $0 to $500 million, a figure that still felt like a far cry from the billionaire persona he had cultivated over the years. At this point, projecting an image of wealth and success had become a crucial element of Trump's business approach, a carefully crafted narrative that he believed was essential to maintaining his brand. Thus, the claim that he wasn't as wealthy as he professed was a significant setback, particularly when it came from a media outlet eager to take him down a notch. The implications were profound. In the world of business and politics, perception often outweighed reality. "There's no need to put yourself out there for millions to see," he mused in private moments of reflection. "But you know why you do it? Why? You crave the attention. Oh, I really dislike the attention. Oh, come on, just leave. I'm serious, I really dislike the attention. Oh, come on now." The disclosure that Trump and his enterprises were facing financial troubles signified the conclusion of peak Trump and the onset of the most challenging phase of his entire career. If the 1980s represented prosperity, then the 1990s marked the decline. So, what took place? It was a mix of both the small scale and the large scale. The small scale was simply that he was Donald Trump. He didn't follow what you'd call a disciplined personal investment approach. Instead, he capitalized on what was becoming his greatest asset, his personal brand. However, brands can diminish in attractiveness. The large scale was a bit more complex. When Trump embarked on his career, New York City was undergoing a significant economic and social crisis. He capitalized on historically low property values and, frankly, a government eager for additional revenue. When the economy started to recover, his wealth increased swiftly. His venture into the casino industry followed a similar trajectory. He entered shortly after New Jersey legalized casino gambling. Most of Trump's acquisitions were financed through debt. And that wasn't inherently an issue as long as the economy remained robust. But that's not what transpired. Right at the dawn of the 1990s, the U.S. economy entered a recession. Trump's enterprises relied heavily on high levels of consumer spending. When the economy decelerated, consumers cut back on spending, and Trump began to lose money rapidly. At one time, Donald Trump found himself grappling with a staggering debt of over $3 billion, a situation that threatened to unravel the empire he had built. In a desperate bid to secure an emergency loan that would keep his organization afloat, he was compelled to make significant sacrifices. This included parting ways with his luxurious yacht, a private airline, and a stake in the Grand Hyatt, one of his earliest and most notable real estate ventures. The financial strain was so severe that his 3 casinos, once the crown jewels of his business portfolio, were forced to file for bankruptcy, marking a dramatic downturn in his fortunes. As his financial woes deepened, Trump found himself subjected to a strict allowance, a stark contrast to the lavish lifestyle he had previously enjoyed. The high-profile troubles he faced extended beyond the realm of business. His personal life was also in turmoil. Amidst the chaos, he began an affair with Marla Maples, an aspiring actress whose presence in his life quickly became tabloid fodder. This affair was not only visible to the public, but also to his then-wife, Ivana, and their 3 children, Donald Jr., Eric, and Ivanka. The fallout from this relationship culminated in a divorce in 1991, during which Ivana walked away with a substantial settlement that included $14 million, a sprawling 45-room mansion in Connecticut, and an apartment in Trump Plaza, further highlighting the personal and financial upheaval in Trump's life. Critics of Trump reveled in his misfortunes, viewing them as evidence that his carefully crafted self-made man persona was nothing more than a facade. They argued that his success was not solely the result of sheer risk-taking and entrepreneurial spirit, but rather stemmed from a series of advantages that many others lacked. These included substantial tax breaks as well as millions in gifts and low-interest loans from his father, Fred Trump, who had established a successful real estate business of his own. This perspective painted a picture of a man whose willingness to take significant risks was bolstered by the knowledge of a safety net that would catch him if he fell. Despite the setbacks, it was these bold, high-profile ventures that contributed to the Trump mythos, a narrative of a man who thrived on risk and ambition. Just when it seemed he had reached his lowest point, he was forced to concede defeat on a long-cherished project, the West Side Rail Yards. This ambitious development had been a focal point of his aspirations. The community activists he had long opposed found inspiration in his setbacks. They crafted their own vision for the 76-acre site. Once Trump accepted their proposal, the political resistance he faced began to dissipate. Ultimately, he sold the development rights to a group of businessmen from Hong Kong. It spared him from the ultimate humiliation of declaring personal bankruptcy. This event signaled the start of one of history's most renowned and contentious comebacks. The chaos that shattered Donald Trump's marriage and nearly derailed his career represented a significant turning point in his life. From this point forward, he wouldn't be the top developer in New York City. He needed to transform into something different. However, if Trump was to reshape his identity, he first required a resurgence. Resurgences are a vital aspect of Trump's mindset. They serve as his method of affirming to himself and everyone else that even if it appeared he was on the verge of failure, he simply hadn't achieved success yet. Comebacks signify the shift from a state of near victory to actual victory. Another important factor to understand about a Trump resurgence is that the narrative takes precedence over the facts. This isn't to imply that the comeback wasn't genuine. It certainly was. Trump struck a favorable deal when he sold the development rights to the West Side Rail Yard property. Taking the Trump Plaza Casino public on the New York Stock Exchange aided him in addressing his urgent cash flow issues. Additionally, persuading the banks that they should steer clear of the casino business required considerable bravery and intuition. Adequately aligned with conservative values, yet his actions and statements often straddled the line between traditional party lines. This ambiguity only added to his allure, allowing him to appeal to a broader audience than many of his contemporaries. As Trump contemplated his next move, he recognized the potential of leveraging his comeback narrative not just in business, but also in politics. The idea of running for president was not merely a whim, it was a calculated decision rooted in the understanding that America loves a story of redemption. He had already demonstrated his ability to rise from the ashes, and now he sought to channel that same energy into a political campaign. With the backing of Stone and a team of advisors, Trump began to craft a message that resonated with the frustrations and aspirations of the American public. He positioned himself as an outsider, a disruptor of the status quo, and a champion of the common man. This narrative was particularly appealing in a political landscape that was increasingly polarized and disenchanted with traditional politicians. Trump's ability to connect with voters was further amplified by his mastery of media. He understood the power of television and social media, using these platforms to bypass traditional news outlets and speak directly to the American people. His brash style, unapologetic rhetoric, and willingness to challenge political norms captivated audiences and kept him in the headlines. As he ramped up his campaign efforts, Trump also began to tap into the growing sentiment of nationalism and populism that was sweeping across the country. He spoke to the concerns of those who felt left behind by globalization and economic shifts, promising to bring jobs back to America and restore a sense of pride in the nation. His rallies became spectacles, drawing thousands of supporters who were eager to be part of his narrative of resurgence. Despite the initial polling data that suggested a lack of support, Trump's charisma and the compelling nature of his story began to shift perceptions. As he continued to campaign, he found that many voters were willing to overlook past controversies in favor of the promise of a brighter future. His message resonated with those who yearned for change and were disillusioned with the political establishment. In the months leading up to the election, Trump's campaign gained momentum. He capitalized on the media's fascination with him, turning every controversy into an opportunity to reinforce his brand. The narrative of the comeback kid became a central theme of his campaign, and he skillfully wove it into his speeches and public appearances. Perhaps the most intriguing finding was that around a quarter of respondents perceived Trump as liberal, outnumbering those who identified him as conservative. His political identity had always been somewhat enigmatic, even to himself. He was a wealthy individual at a time when affluence almost automatically aligned with Republican values. However, his social life, the gatherings, the romantic partners, the gossip columns, made him appear more like a Democrat. Keep in mind that this was a period when the Democratic president was a notorious womanizer. I did not engage in sexual activities with that woman. The outcomes reinforced Trump's conviction that he could become president if he dedicated himself to the task. It is said that a position like president necessitates a large ego. What are your thoughts? Do you believe you can manage it? I'm uncertain if my ego is large enough. That's one aspect we are verifying. Seriously? May I note that? You are able to write it. However, before he could decide on his next steps, misfortune occurred. In June of 1999, his dad, Fred Trump, passed away. He had been experiencing dementia for several years, and when he developed pneumonia, he was unable to overcome it. In private, Donald felt devastated. However, in public, he took the opportunity to reflect on his preferred topic, himself. He started his eulogy for his father by stating that it was the hardest day of his own life. He mentioned that it was ironic to find out about his death immediately after reading a front-page New York Times article concerning one of his successful projects. Marla Maples was not present at Fred Trump's funeral. She and Donald divorced 17 days prior to his death. Trump was joined by Melania Naus, a Slovenian model he had been seeing since the year before. Their relationship had blossomed in the vibrant atmosphere of New York City, where the two first crossed paths in 1998. When asked about their initial meeting, Trump recalled the moment with a sense of nostalgia. "We crossed paths in New York back in 1998, he said, a smile creeping onto his face. "Did you feel an instant connection?" the interviewer pressed. "Absolutely," he replied, his eyes lighting up. There was an incredible chemistry and energy between us. As the days turned into weeks following the funeral of his father, Trump found himself grappling with a myriad of emotions, not just related to his loss, but also concerning his future. The prolonged dispute over his father's estate had consumed much of his attention, but amidst the turmoil, a question lingered in his mind. Should he pursue a presidential run? This time, he felt a sense of urgency and clarity that he hadn't experienced before. The idea of running for office was no longer a distant thought. It was becoming a tangible possibility. However, Trump was contemplating a path that diverged from the traditional political landscape. He was not interested in aligning himself with the Republican or Democratic parties, which he felt had become too entrenched in their ways. Instead, he began to explore the idea of running for a party that had unexpectedly risen to prominence in American politics, one that resonated with the discontent of many voters. Before Trump, there was another influential businessman who had made significant waves in U.S. politics, Ross Perot. Perot, the founder of a successful data company, had made 2 presidential bids in the early 1990s, shaking up the political status quo. His campaigns were marked by a series of provocative questions that challenged the conventional wisdom of Washington. Do you want a government that operates from Washington, or one that is accountable to you? He would ask. Who do the politicians in Washington serve? Who funds their salaries? I want to be your president.